Let's get some thoughts now from the ambassador from Ukraine, Vasyl Myroshnychenko, and your country obviously at war. I'm interested, how do you reflect on this sombre day for so many Australians, particularly Jewish Australians and Israelis around the world?
Well, I feel their pain. You know, it's been a horrible tragedy and lost lives of the Israelis. There is no space for terror in this world, and it was a crimes against humanity. And this is very sad. I express our condolences, and our president made a very strong statement on this when it all happened, and there will be a statement coming up today when they wake up. There is no space for this atrocities happening. You know, it also kind of reminded me a lot about atrocities that we've seen from Russians on the ground when they came and they occupied some of the cities on the outskirts of Kyiv and just killing civilians because they could, just to terrorize people, to intimidate them, to instill the fear, and that was part of this tragedy.
Yeah, the sadistic nature of it, that is common across both conflicts, and we've seen that from your enemies there too.
Oh, absolutely. But Ukraine stands strongly on calling for peace in the Middle East. We support negotiations for a two-state solution, and we are adamant on this.
What's your view when it comes to the NATO presence? I know that recently the new head of NATO paid his first visit to Ukraine. Were you encouraged by the message sent?
I was encouraged by the message that he sent. Mark Rutte, as he just resumed the functions of Secretary General last week, and his first trip was to Kyiv. It is a very symbolic to demonstrate his staunch support for the country, and NATO plays a crucial role in coordinating support for the country. Also for our future, for any security guarantees, we don't see any other option but NATO membership. Because at the end of the day, Russia is on the go. They want to destroy country entirely, and that's the only way how we can protect ourselves. And also we have to look back in history in 10 years from now, back. In 2014, Ukraine was a neutral country. Russia invaded us. And the response that the world has demonstrated to Russia was too weak. This is what emboldened Putin, because there was recently an interview by the previous Secretary General, Jens Stoltenberg, where he talks about it already as somebody who stepped up from the job. And he said, look, if we made some mistakes, we should have armed Ukraine much sooner, we should have provided more what Ukraine needed. Yeah. Perhaps we could have avoided that invasion in 2022.
And there's a demining conference coming up in Switzerland in a week or so from now. What's happening on that front, and is Australia contributing to that initiative?
Ukraine has now about 30% of its territory mined. So this is one of the biggest environmental issues that we will be facing for the next several generations. In fact, if we take all the equipment, demining equipment that we currently have, and all the people who are currently trained to do the demining, we'll need 750 years to clear Ukraine of the mines. I hope it will not last that long. No. Therefore, we need help of the supporting countries to buy the new demining equipment, to train people to be able to clear Ukraine much faster. And to this end, Swiss government...
So this is part of the thinking beyond the conflict?
Absolutely. Already some demining is happening at the moment, as in the territories that we were able to liberate and push Russians out. But it does require support from the countries. And Switzerland is now hosting a big conference in Lausanne in less than 2 weeks from now. I'm glad that Australia will be represented there. And we're asking the Australian government to make a contribution to that effort. Australia has experience of dealing with demining in Cambodia and some other countries, and we very much welcome the contribution. And some equipment been provided before, but it just because...
But we need to provide more.
Yeah, it's just because the enormous...
What do you need?
Yeah, it's demining machines and vehicles. I mean, there are several countries who are producing them, but a contribution to procuring some of those would be a great help. But also mine detectors. There are some companies which are making mine detectors here in Australia. Their equipment would be very useful there on the ground, help with training the people, and that could be also part of Operation Kudu in the UK. Some of those infantry and others could be trained how to do the demine. That would be a meaningful contribution.
Ambassador Vasyl Myroshnychenko, thanks. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.